Okay, so hopefully you've had a look at the playthrough video. So now we're going to detail about this opening intro part and the first verse. All the little twiddly guitar parts we're going to be playing. So, starts off, you're making a mini bar here across the 5th fret of the D, G and B strings with this finger, your first finger. And then you're hammering on a A minor shape. It would be an A minor if you played it down here. Up here with your bar chord, it becomes a D minor with your 2nd, 3rd and 4th fingers. So you're playing that and you're going. So you see that? So that is the 7th fret of the D string, the 7th fret of the G string and the 6th fret of the B string with that bar. And then you do it again, but this time you play the C mini chord 3 times. And you're stopping the strings with your right hand. So they're quite staccato. Okay, so it goes, and then the first lead bit comes in. It goes. So it starts on the 5th fret of the D string, and you're sliding up to the 7th fret, and then playing the 7th fret of the string above it, the G string, and then back to the 7th fret of the D string. 6th fret of the B string, and then back to the 7th fret of the G string. So and then this kind of sweep thing I was showing you, which is the kind of, you deaden the strings and you kind of just pull your plectrum across them, but then you hold down the 5th fret of the E string up to the 8th fret of the E string. So 5, 8, 5, 6 on the B string, 5, 6, 5, 7 on the G string. So it's now on the video I watched to learn the song, he's bending this note. So he's bending 5 up to 6 on the B string, but I don't really hear that on the record. I think it's just a hammer on 5, 6, 5, and then 7 on the G string. Okay, so that's the intro bit. Now I'm not sure if Mark Knopfler is strumming these chords during the song or just playing the little guitar bits in between. When I do it, I'm tending to do these little mini chords, so I'm kind of doing that hammer-on we did at the beginning, those 3 notes. So we're not playing the D string, we're not barring the chord like that to make it a bar chord. We're just playing this little group here, the 7, 7, 7 on the D, 7 on the G, 6 on the B. Bar across the 5th fret, bar across the 3rd fret, and then bar across the 2nd fret, which is now obviously an A chord. So it goes. But if you just want to concentrate on playing the guitar breaks, don't worry about playing these chord bits. I just think I would do it because it would sound a bit empty to me if you didn't have those in there. But you don't have to play those bits. You're concentrating on the fills and things that come in between. So we go 1, 2, and then a bend. So there's a bit of a pause here before you do this bend, which is you've got your pinky on the 5th fret of the E and the B string, and you've got your 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the G string, and you're using all 3 fingers to do the bend, because certainly these 2, because you want to push, and it's quite a hard bend because it's quite low down the guitar. The lower down you're playing, the harder it is to bend these notes, and you're trying to bend this note up to this note. So you're effectively playing a little mini A major chord here as part of that bar chord, the A chord, but just the top 3 strings. So you're going, and you can hear him bend them down again. So he pushes up from this one up to the 6th one here, lets go, and then takes off that finger so that you've got your 2nd fret of the G string at the end. But you don't have to worry about playing that. But you can hear him doing that. So it's, but the main part is that bend. So 5, 5 on the E and B string, 4 on the G, bending up to this note here, which is the 6th fret. And then the same again. Now this one is kind of straight into the fill, so there's not a pause. The first one is ba, 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 and then bend. Whereas the second one is straight into this little double stop, which is a double stop, just two strings at the same time kind of thing. So that's the 6th fret on the G string and the 5th fret on the E string. You're not playing the B string, and you go G, E, G, E, G, E. So you do it 3 times. And you probably want to slide up to it as you're doing that. Okay, and then the next one, it's... So after that, he then goes, the rhythm goes into an F chord. He plays that F chord as a little D shape. So you've got your D shape here on the 2nd fret when you're playing a D chord. Up to the 5th fret makes it an F chord. But just the top 3 strings, not that one for now. And he just plays that, so... And then the rhythm guitar goes down to C, but you have a little pause, so you're going to go... So that's a little syncopated bit where you're playing this little mini bar again. But this time, instead of hammering on all of the 3 strings, you're just doing the 6th fret of the B string and the 7th fret of the G, sorry, the D string. So 6 on the B, 7 on the D, and the G note is still just the 5th fret, because you're not fingering that bit. You're not doing the D minor shape, you're just doing the 2 notes. So 6 on the B, 7 on the D. So it goes... And then slide down to the 3rd fret. Again, a little mini bar, hold that. And then when it gets back up to D minor, that's not D minor, this is D minor. There's this little run which goes from the 5th fret to the 7th fret of the D string. 5, 7, 5 on the G string, back to 7 on the D string, so... I think it sounds better sliding, but if it's easier to hammer, you can just hammer it on. So 5, 7, 5 on the G, 7 again on the D, and then 6th fret on the B string, 7th fret on the G string, so but just hammer it on. So it goes. And then the next bit is you're doing a mini bar across the 3rd fret. Now what it sounds like he's doing is so he's playing the first mini bar, just these 3 strings, then he's putting his pinky on the 6th fret of the B string, which can also go across the 6th fret of the E string, because it's all part of this B flat chord that he's doing down here, but it gives it this kind of ba. So he goes off, so on to the 6th fret, so mini bar here, 3, on the D, G, B, 6th fret of the B string, off again, and then slide up to, don't do it slightly more right than that, to the 5th fret, and then this little lick at the end of the line, which is up to the 7th fret of the A string, 5 on the D, 7 on the D, 5 on the G. 7, 5, 7, 5. D, G, sorry, that's not the D string, that's the A string, 7th fret on the A string, sorry. 7 on A, 5 on D, 7 on D, 5 on G. And that's the end of the first verse, okay? Now that bit where he's going, he only does that once after the first verse, but he'll do it twice after the 2nd verse before you go into the kind of little chorus riff where there's no singing, but it's the kind of wee theme bit for the song, okay? So, 2nd verse, same thing again. That's what I would play, these little mini chords, D minor, C on the 5th fret, bar, 3rd fret, but straight into this. Now that's the same thing as you did in the first verse, except this time, so it's the 5th fret of the E string and the 6th fret of the G string, you go. So you're putting your finger onto the 6th fret of the E string, the top string. So play them together, and then you can play them both at the same time or just go. Actually, probably that's the best way to do it. So G string E, G string E, 6th fret back to 5th fret. And then you play the 4th fret of the G string and the 3rd fret. You're basically keeping this shape. So you're 1 fret above on the G string than you are on the E string. You come down here to the 4th fret of the G string and the 3rd fret of the E string, and then down to the 2nd fret of the G string and the 1st fret of the E string. And you're playing one after the other, so you go. Okay, just keeping that shape there. Back to. Now this time you're making a D shape up on the 9th fret, which makes it an A chord. And you're doing, so you're starting, so that's 1st finger on the 9th fret, 2nd finger on the 9th fret, 1st finger on the 9th fret of the G string, 2nd finger on the 9th fret of the E string, and middle finger, 3rd finger on the 10th fret of the B string. And then you're doing, so you're playing, first of all, so you're playing round that chord, a little solo run that goes 9 on the E string, 10 on the E string, 9. Sorry, no, that's not right. It's 10 first. So you do, we pull off 10, 9, 10th fret on the B string, 9th fret on the G string. So you pull off and then play down that chord, down to the 7th fret of the G string. Sorry, that's too far of a slide. So that little slide is the same as that slide, an octave lower, so you go. So that's the 7th fret followed by the 6th fret of the G string, onto the 7th fret of the D string, and then slide down to the 5th fret of the D string. So the whole thing is. 10, 9, 10, 9, 7, 6, 7, 5. E string, B string, G string, slide down G string, another one, G string, D, like that. And after that one, again, you're going to play this mini D chord shape on the 5th fret, which is an F again. And this is the same as the first verse, and then the bit that goes. Exactly the same as the first verse. So mini bar on the 5th fret, hammering on your 2 fingers, so 6th fret of the B string, 7th fret of the D string, whilst leaving the G open, down to the 3rd fret. Now, for this one I wouldn't try and play another chord. There is a D minor chord here, because you want to be up here now on the 10th fret of the G string, 10th fret of the E string. You play those 2 notes together. You then slide this finger down 1 fret so you're using your 2nd and 3rd finger, because your 1st finger's needed to play the 8th fret of the E string. So you're going to go 10 and 10, G and E, then 9 and 8, G and E, and then 10 and 10, B and E, which is a little mini D minor chord up here. So 2 strings apart rather than together, G and E, 10th fret, 10 and 10. Now 2nd finger down the 9th fret, 1st finger on the 8th fret, played together. I'm doing it with my plectrum and my finger, which is a technique, probably a good one to learn, because there's you can do a lot of good stuff on a guitar if you do that. So you're basically you're holding your plectrum like you normally would with your first and your thumb and your 1st finger, but you're using your 2nd finger to pluck the string like that, just so they sound out at the same time. I mean, you could strum across it, because this finger will just naturally deaden the B string anyway. But that's a nice technique, being able to double pluck. It's using Shoot to Thrill for that bit where it goes. So you can use that. That's a good technique to learn. So 10, 10, 10, 9, 8, 10, 10 on the B and G string. That's the G and E string. And then back down to this little bit where you're going. So you're going to do the open bar here on the 3rd fret, and then put your pinky across the 6th fret of the B and E string. So it goes da 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 da, and then slide it up to the C. So that's a little mini B flat chord, those 3 notes there. And then do it again. And then you have that little run that's the end of the last one, which is the up to the 7th fret on the A string, A, 7, 5D, 7D, 5G. And then now you have this kind of chorus bit where there's no singing, where the lead guitar goes, the rhythm guitar just goes. Those 3 chords, but you're going to do a little mini D minor chord here on the D, G and B string, so 7, 7, 6, 7D, 7G, 6B. Take it off with your first finger on the across the 5th fret of the D, G and B string, and then straight down to the 3rd fret with that finger across the 3 things. So it goes. Okay. Da, da, da. Now this one is the other hammer-on, where you leave the G string on the 5th fret. You don't put a finger on the G string for this. So that's the D string 7th fret and B string 6th fret. On and then off with your little bar across the 5. So not the minor one with your pinky there, but the one that's just like a kind of a, that's technically a little mini F chord, F and C, okay? And then you slide up to the 10th fret, and you play all the same 3 little bar across those D, G and B string, and then a little mini C chord, which is 3rd finger on the 10th fret of the D string, 2nd finger on the 9th fret of the G string, and 1st finger on the 8th fret of the B string. And you can actually bar that across the B string and the E string if you want to. Okay, so mini bar 3 fingers, but this time with your 3rd finger rather than your 1st finger, which you've normally been doing. Twice. And then twice on the C chord. So is it, or is it? No, it's actually just once. It's 1 hit, sorry, not 2 hits. It's just 1, 2. But there's a kind of a, and then you're hitting the strings, but you're not playing anything. So ba ba like that. So sorry, it should be like that. So. And then the second time you do that run, you finish off with that run that you've done already twice, which is up to the 7th fret on the A, 7A, 5D, 7D, 5G. So that whole thing is. Okay, so have a go at that. Please let me know if you find the video too complicated or if I'm over-explaining or under-explaining, because I'm quite happy to adapt the style so that it's useful for you. So have a go at that, and then we can start working on verse 3 and 4 on the next video.